So why is it so stinking unaffordable to buy a house now? Let's talk about it next. Hey, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know, you're a great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or even relocate to the Treasure Valley. So today we're talking about affordability of houses. It is very difficult. I don't see it getting any better, but maybe there's hope on the horizon. I wonder if anybody else gets this.
For too many people, the dream of having a good home still feels out of reach. I get it.
Dang, but what's the deal?
But here's the deal. My new budget works to lower housing costs for owners and renters alike today.
Interesting, but what did your dad say?
What my dad used to always say was that the way you build equity in your home is the way you build wealth. So when you build enough equity in your home, then you have enough money to borrow to get something new and move and so on. And that's how everybody makes it. Everybody in the middle class makes it there usually through equity in their home.
Yeah, but could that really work?
It works. What we've been doing works to increase housing supply and keep costs down in the future. First, for homeowners, if inflation keeps coming down.
As you know, last month, the inflation came in hotter than expected for the third month in a row, which is a hit to American families by itself, but it's not just a one-time impact. Inflation's cumulative, and hardworking Kansans have been suffering for 3 years now, as this chart behind me indicates. You know, since Joe Biden took office, inflation's up over 19%.
19%? What does that mean in real language for real folks?
Joint Economic Committee estimate that Kansans are paying an average of nearly $1,000 more per month for the same goods and services, the same food, the same clothes, the same gas, the same rent that they did in January of 2021. And since then, in total, the average Kansan household has spent $23,600 more due to inflation.
All right, yes, inflation. You know, that hidden tax on not just your income, but also on your wealth, your savings. It sucks rotten eggs.
Mortgage rates are going to come down as well, but I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait.
Interest rates are coming down? Did you get that from your crystal ball?
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%.
And here from Realtor.com, waiting for lower mortgage rates? Prepare to dig in for the long haul. Home buyers waiting for mortgage rates to come down sharply are likely facing a lengthy wait. Not going to happen anytime soon. The shenanigans that the central bank are doing are going to significantly dim the hopes of imminent mortgage rate relief for prospective summer house hunters.
Dang, I feel like I'm being played for a sucker.
Folks are tired of being played for suckers, and I'm tired of letting them be played for suckers. Inflation keeps coming down.
Readings on inflation have come in above expectations.
I'm not going to wait.
Maybe you shouldn't wait. What can you do for us now?
I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down to put toward their mortgage when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space if they come from a middle-class background. They come from a family that's well under $200,000 or less.
Okay, but what does tax credit actually mean, you know, for like normal people like, you know, me and Corn Pop?
So what about this proposed tax credit? Well, let's check it out. So this is from the White House. President Biden announces his plan to lower housing costs for working families by tax credits. President Biden believes housing costs are too high and significant investments are needed to address the large shortage of affordable homes inherited by Trump. It's all Trump's fault, you know. Biden will call on congressional Republicans to end the years of inaction to pass legislation to lower costs by providing a $10,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers and people who sell their starting homes. This annual tax credit, proposed tax credit of $5,000 a year, will go for 2 years. He says this is equivalent to reducing the mortgage rate by more than 1.5%. Forbes says that Biden's home buyer tax credit has potential but can be improved, how it works. And remember, this is just a proposal. There's nothing in law. Right now, it's just an idea floating around in that ice cream-laden brain. Biden would create a refundable credit up to 10% of the purchase price of a home, up to $10,000. It would be available for homes purchased only for 2 years and could be claimed in two $5,000 increments. The credit would begin to be phased out for home buyers with modified adjusted gross income of $100,000 and end at $200,000. Here's the thing. If buyers move it within 3 years, they'd have to return the credit to the U.S. Treasury. Well, thank you very much. And what does Bloomberg say? They said that the housing tax credit triggers demand, but supply is the issue. They say that doing this risks worsening rather than fixing the existing imbalances, leading to unaffordability. So if Biden's plan came at this from the supply side as opposed to the demand side, then he would reduce the risk of inflating house prices through mortgage credit stimulus, meaning that this mortgage credit stimulus is going to increase the demand side, and it's going to make sure that a market correction doesn't kick in, and it's going to make things absolutely worse. Who'd have thought that was going to happen? So what is a tax credit all about? Well, this is from Investopedia. How does a tax credit work? A tax credit refers to amount of money that taxpayers can subtract directly from the taxes they owe. So there's nothing in the White House's announcement that indicates whether it's going to be a refundable or non-refundable type of tax credit. So non-refundable means that you only get the credit up to the amount of taxes you owe. So if you only owed $2,000, $10,000 is meaningless because you're only going to get $2,000 because that's all the taxes that you owed. So if the plan eventually passed by Congress and eventually signed in by a president, could be the next president, who knows, and it's a refundable credit, then those are paid out regardless of what your tax burden is. In effect, it's welfare. They give you $10,000 regardless of how much work that you did that you owed taxes on. It's welfare. Why don't we be honest?
I'm not going to wait.
And your doing something now proposal is just that. It's a proposal. It still has to go through the whole legislative process. And if it does work out, what's a tax credit do? It only applies to some of the people some of the time. The people have to be making enough money to where that credit actually kicks in. And then you've got limits on it. And not only that, it doesn't happen until next spring when they file their taxes. It's not now at all.
I'm not going to wait.
So if only there was some way that you can make it sound like you're helping people right now.
In addition, last week, the National Association of Realtors agreed for the first time that Americans can negotiate lower commissions when they buy or sell their home.
Well, that's not entirely true now, is it, Mr. P? Well, certainly not as far as Idaho goes. Things like that are negotiable.
On a typical home purchase, that alone could save folks an average of $10,000 on the sale or purchase.
Going to save $10,000 large on the sale or purchase of a home? How does that work out?
I'm calling on realtors to follow through on lowering their commissions to protect home buyers.
Oh, I see. You're calling on realtors to drop their commissions. That's where that extra $10,000 comes from, is it? So what's next? Are you going to be calling on teachers to work without getting paid? Union members to work without getting paid? Politicians to work without getting paid? Is that coming up next? That sounds kind of familiar. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Isn't that right, comrade? So this episode seems to answer the question why homes are so unaffordable by looking at central planning, the economic and market manipulation by the elites, the experts, the central planners, the politicians, the people behind the scenes, and also just good old-fashioned Marxism. Absolutely. So that's why, or at least part of why, homes are so unaffordable right now. Another reason they're unaffordable is something we're going to check out in part 2 of this. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on part 2 and any of the other great, absolutely great videos that are coming out. So thanks for stopping in and checking this video out. Give us a call if we can help you, and we'll see you on the next video.
Hey, thanks for stopping in and learning more about real estate in Nampa, Idaho and the Treasure Valley. If you'd like to learn more, watch this video here next or binge on this playlist.
When it comes time to sell a home, buy a home, or even relocate to the Treasure Valley, your Treasure Valley Dave team is your real estate expert by your side, helping you get home.